Let's get loud! Hello, loud people. How are you? Happy Saturday afternoon, or is it evening? It's evening, right?
It's evening.
It's evening.
All right.
So good evening to you and welcome to this week's episode of Let's Get Loud, where we'll be discussing who does what. If you notice, it's just Greg and I this evening because our top dog Fortune is a bit
under the weather. So he's recovering. He's recovering well. So Fortune, get back up soon, my brother.
Get back up soon. But the show had to go on, and so here we are to discuss who does what.
Do we want to recount the last 4 episodes? Just give a little tidbit of the journey
to get in here. Okay, so yes, that's a good idea, Greg. Thank you. So it's all started out with my thought about having the top dog Fortune on the show because we were at a women's conference, was it? And he presented, and when he opened his mouth and said, "Men are dogs," I got so excited because I knew exactly what he meant, right? And then the following week, we pick apart parts of the whole theme, and the first one we did was, it's not what you said,
it's
how you say it. Right?
Exactly.
And then the other one we did was mind the gap. Right on. So today now we are going to do who does what. And this topic came out from a viewer all the way in Libya, and he said, I need you to touch on these topics. So the topics this evening, Greg, the chores.
The weekend recreation decision, what we do.
When we do it.
Exactly.
My mom.
Your mom.
All right. And your job.
And my job.
All right. And then, of course, religion. And the one thing that we don't have in common right now, children, but we do know some things about children. We were once children, so we know.
I'm a professional godfather.
Oh, yeah.
So I spoil them and return them.
Yeah, and I'm the professional babysitter. I spoil them and I send them back home. So, Greg, chores. You remember when you and I were deciding after we got married who's going to do what? And of course, my dear husband said to me, well, honey, it would be so great if both of us just split up the chores and do the household work. And my reaction was, you're not talking to me, right? And he was like, no, we can do it. We can do it. And I'm like, you're not talking to me, right? This is a person who has had help from as long as I know it, from mother right through. I know this man looked at me and said, it would be fun for us to do it. Not talking to me. So why did you decide on that? What drove you to do that?
The main part of that is, I'm one of 4 boys. And growing up, we all had a hand in everything. Whether doing the dishes, cleaning the plates, sweeping, mopping, you name it. We all had a little piece in what's going on in the household. And, growing up as a single guy, you had to cook, clean, do what you need to do, because guess what? You had to be presentable at all times, and your place had to be presentable at all times.
Just in case mommy came for a visit, right?
Yes. I mean, I'll give you a quick story on that. Whenever mom comes, and if you ask any of my brothers, this is the process we go through. We go through a thorough deep cleaning just before mommy comes around, because mommy comes out with the white glove test. Anybody know the white glove test? Yes. She rubs her hand everywhere, behind the picture frame, on the whatnot, whatever it is, she has her hand rubbing. But there was another reason behind that. My mom is always very helpful. So if we clean it and it's presentable, she's going to clean it again. So our goal was to make sure mom relaxed when she came to visit, not work. But at the end of the day, the household is ours, and the quicker we can get the things done, the quicker we can enjoy each other.
I know, but then sometimes too that gets tiring. All right, I'll give you a story now. So in COVID, oh, by the way, the decision was we get somebody to do the heavy cleaning, and we do the laundry, and we will do our dishes by hands because we love to do dishes. But the cleaning and the ironing, not for me. But COVID showed Greg exactly what I meant, right? So during COVID, couldn't have anybody around us. So we had to split the chores. My job, do the bathrooms, although my dear husband said, I don't have a problem doing the bathrooms, but I said, I'll volunteer, I'll do the bathrooms. And all he had to do was do the vacuuming, do the sweeping, and do the mopping. I'll do everything else. And I did, right? But my dear husband, he took his own time, right? Took his own time. When I'm finished doing everything, waiting on the mopping to be completed, well, my husband is my husband. He does things in his own time.
That's the whole reason why we touched on communication in this series that we're doing. Now, Ingrid and I both work at different paces, and we approach things very differently.
How do I work, right?
And oftentimes, I'll touch on that, and oftentimes couples get together and they need to communicate that.
Yeah.
The running joke between Ingrid and I and our friends, Ingrid is the mini gun that you see on the side of a battleship. When you need to mow down a whole forest, you go, and it mows it all down in 2 seconds, smoke everywhere, but it's level. Greg, he chooses to shoot the propane tank next to the building, which blows up the building, levels the place, and we achieve the same result.
Yeah.
So ladies and gentlemen, friends, family, new subscribers, just remember, communication. How you get the task done may differ, but the key thing is get the task done. Get the task done.
So dishes, right? So I alluded to the fact that we like to do our dishes, right? And a lot of people don't see it as therapeutic. We see it as therapeutic. So who does the dishes? It's not up in our house. It's like we go to the sink and we do the dishes. Whether it's together, if we want to get it done faster, Ingrid style, or separately. And I use that time to relax. I really do. And just look at the outside, look at what the chickens are up to. Or the Cayman rabbit. Whatever is outside entertain me at that time. And sometimes you'll hear Greg calling me, honey, come and look at this. And it's always something entertaining. Some chicken, some rabbit, anything that's out there that would be entertaining. So chores, who does what?
Fun.
Make it fun. That's the thing, Greg. Make it fun. Because it can be fun. It can be fun. And at the end of it, we can still have some more fun time. Yes, and we won't be that tired. So speaking about tired, right? What about weekend recreational activities?
So for the Jamaicans, what you do for the weekend?
Yes, what you do.
Yeah, man. So this can cause a little tension in a lot of households because guess what? I won't go to the beach and lay out in the sun. My wife wants to go to Kamana Bay and browse the shops. Or, honey, I thought we were gonna go East End to the fish fry. But babes, I thought we were gonna go West Bay and to the turtle farm. Again, comes back to communication. I think if you plan your weekend, you find out that you can maximize your time together and still discover new things.
Yes.
One thing COVID has taught us is that recreation, even during a lockdown, is key. Whether it's getting together and playing a game,
chess, which I'm still learning,
right? Or Jenga,
which I love,
right? Whatever it is. Make it fun, mix it up, but communicate. For example, if we're planning a day on the water, now Ingrid and son don't agree.
We don't agree. I have swollen things here.
So Ingrid have to get the big broad hat, big broad touch hat. Yes, one of those. So we have to be mindful of that. You know, the other day we did a staycation
at the Marriott.
Fantastic. What was our event of the day? Our excursion. It was kayaking. Now, the morning was a little overcast. And Ingrid was like, man, the sun, where's the sun? I said, but honey, this is the best time because we can go out on the water. It's overcast, so you'd still see the beauty, but not in the beating sun.
I know.
Now, me wanting to introduce my dear wife to kayaking, decide to get 2 separate kayaks instead of the tandem. So we're paddling out slowly, and here comes a couple coming back in a double kayak. Honey looks at me and like, how come we didn't get one of those? But I said, honey, you wouldn't really learn it if you were in the boat with me.
That's true. I got scared though, you know, when I started out. Seriously, they pushed me out first. And here I am going out into Cayman, deep water, the water deep here, right? And I'm like, Greg, where are you? And he's just taking his time, getting into his own kayak. Finally, he caught up with me. By then, I had learned how to, what do you call the thing?
Not fall out the boat?
Well, yeah, not fall out the boat. Yeah.
Right.
And I was able to paddle and navigate. Yes, navigate on the high seas.
And this is another team building exercise.
Yes.
You know, this is where I'm like, okay, honey, you hold the paddle this way. You make sure you go this way, go this way. And guess what? 2 tools, we're having fun.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Ingrid was the one, okay, let's go down this way. Let's go back this way.
I know. Yeah.
And it started out a little bumpy, but you communicate, you find out that you have a fantastic time at whatever chore or whatever recreational
activity
you decide.
But do something that you both enjoy.
Yes.
And do something that maybe I enjoy, and then we can bring Greg along to it.
Excellent.
Or he enjoys and he brings me over to it. So try something new.
Try something new. But, you know, if you guys are going to do separate things, set boundaries.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm going to go out and say, I want to go, you know, hang out with the guys because we're going to tinker on a car all day. Right. It shouldn't be a sun up to a sundown thing unless there's a serious project, which is an exception. But you know that you're going to go out, spend some time apart, and then spend some time together. You know, very early in our relationship, we talked about my friends, Ingrid friends, and our friends. And I think that dynamic has helped us and kept a very balanced relationship.
It has indeed. It has. All right. So when we talk about balance now, talk about my mom and your mom. Now, before my mom died, it was my mom loved Greg, right? It's like, so where's Greg? The minute I call, so where's Greg? It's like, Mom, you know, talk to me.
But to be fair, honey, I called home. Where's Ingrid? Ingrid home yet? It's the same thing. In our household, our moms adore each other's in-law. And before my mom died, both of us, because we're 2 miles apart. About
so 2 miles, or less. So my mom, my moms, my mother-in-law, would go visit my mom, you know, and they would hang out and they would, I think, talk about us, but
probably.
I think so. But it wasn't a big hiccup for us because my mom knew his mom from before we were born. So our story goes back a long time.
So shout out to Southfield, Top Hill, St. Elizabeth, St. Bess, Lovers Leap.
I know.
Shout out.
I know, right? So it wasn't hard for our families to come together.
No, it wasn't.
It really wasn't. His dad worked with my dad, and my dad raised his dad and won, although his dad said he won. But that's still up in the air. It never got to try.
In a car race, guys, if there's no one there, you won.
You know what I mean? But so it has never been a difficult topic for us. And when it comes to how we support our families, we take that decision seriously and we discuss it. We know how much this one needs, and if a project needs to be done, you know, Greg will say to me, well, honey, you know, mommy need this, and let's see how we can work this. And we work together to get it done. We ensure that not at our detriment, but, you know, everything is balanced, and we understand that it's our parents. They brought us here. They took care of us, and now it's our turn to take care of them. So we do that, and we do that with love and respect and gratitude that they did for us, you know, and we're now doing it for them. So my mom, your mom becomes our moms. Yes.
But this can be a touchy subject in a lot of relationships, you know, talking to friends, and especially a cultural difference. one thing I will say, always have a conversation about it. And you can share your feelings or concern in a productive manner. Try not to wait until a decision has to be made to bring out the point. Well, you know, I don't think we should do that because of X, Y, Z. No, have those conversations beforehand. There's a saying that says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So just keep the communication lines open and realize that at the end of the day, you know, in the Bible it says you have to leave and plead.
Yes, and but at the same time honor your mother and father.
Right, so you have
to
honor your relationship with your wife and honor your relationship with your parents.
But you touched something though, Greg, that before we go on, I would love to talk a little bit more about, and it's the cultural differences. Because sometimes, all right, I'm a Jamaican, he's a Jamaican, so it's easy to understand each other. But then you find that I could be married to somebody else from a different culture, and how we are raised as Jamaicans. We know we take care of our people, but maybe another culture doesn't do that. So it boils back down to communication before, not in the marriage, you know, before you discuss all of these things. And you say, well, you know, darling, this is how we were taught. This is how we are raised. This is how we take care of our people. Do you see this as a problem? You know, and if he has to take care of his mother from a different culture, we don't see it as imbalance, but we see it as working together to take care of our parents, to honor our parents, that the commandment will manifest itself, that we may live long. We may live long lives. Because, you know, that's the only commandment with promise, right? Honor your mother and father, that your days may be long. That your days may be long. So you want long life? Honor your mother and your father and your in-laws.
I like that twist. My
job, your job. Whose job is more important? Greg, you remember in COVID, right? When you had to switch over from your normal role to another role, I had to learn that role, and two of us were working from home, and then you said, give me 2 weeks to learn it, and in that 2 weeks, I had to do all the chores. I mean everything, right? Everything. Come on, give it to me, right? And at the end of 2 weeks, because one thing Greg does, right? How we cook and things. Greg will do all the prep work. What do you call yourself?
Sous chef.
He calls himself a sous chef, right? So during that 2 weeks, I had to prep, I had to cook, I had to clean, I had to wash, I had to do every single thing, you know. But it's not that his job was more important, but the fact that he was learning something new.
And it was a special project. It's not an everyday thing.
He needed the time. You needed the time to just get your hands in it. Yeah. And I had to give him that time. And then it boils down to my job, especially pre-COVID. Sometimes working late, you know, and I had to communicate that. Sometimes Greg would turn up at the office, right? Look a bit after 5, and I'm not ready yet. And then he said, okay, darling, I'll go walk in.
Well, it worked out. But at that time, I would say, babes, just call me, text me, WhatsApp, let me know. Because I show up all ready to go home.
Yeah.
And she has another hour or so. But the good thing on my part is that Commander Bay has a great campus. What did I do? I got a lot of steps in. So I adjusted on the fly, because in life, there are going to be challenges, there's going to be changes, there's going to be detours. If you don't adjust on the fly, you're going to be miserable.
What's that new word we learned? Pivot. How to pivot. Remember in netball, we used to play netball, we used to pivot. You had to pivot a certain way. So sometimes it takes some pivoting to ensure that
the smooth sailing continues.
Yes. And nobody's job is more important, because without his job and without my job, we wouldn't be together. We wouldn't be anywhere. So
I think the big premise here is our household is one household.
Yes.
So the jobs, no matter what your responsibilities are at your job, at home, we're partners.
Yes.
We're equal partners.
Yes. And communication again is key.
Yes.
Is key in everything that you do. So always remember that. Please. And then we're talking about religion. No, we're not from different religions, but we are from one religion called Christianity that has a whole branches, tons of branches, right?
So on this one, we're going to talk really about two things.
Yeah.
Differences in religion and differences in our religious journey. I think those are two important pieces when it comes to religion that we need to touch on.
Okay.
So let's first talk about the differences in religion. Your religion was?
Well, it was the same religion, Christianity, but then I was I'm a loud person, okay? That's why we have the thing, let's get loud, because I am loud, okay? So loud people go to loud church. So my church was very loud.
And that was Pentecostal?
That was Pentecostal. That was real Pentecostal. Getting in spirit Pentecostal. Shouting, dancing. Hallelujah! Kind of Pentecostal church, right? Greg, no, went to a
brethren.
Yeah, quieter.
A quieter, reserved.
Yeah.
There were some hallelujahs too, but not as many.
He's getting loud.
And just a different form of worship. Yeah. No better than the other. It's just a different form of worship. However, when I first moved to Cayman and we started looking for a home church, the first church was up here. Loud, boisterous, in a very praise-filled manner. Yeah. No, that's really not my personal forte. I'm a word-driven person. I like to hear, I'm a thinker. So I like to hear that message. Yes, the songs, the praise worship, everything needs to be there, but at what level? So that was the first church. The second church we went to, when Ingrid said, hallelujah, I think she woke up the entire congregation. It was, and that was even quieter than I am used to.
Yeah.
Then we found First Assembly by chance.
By chance, because
we were on our way to another church.
Yeah, we were late.
And we were running a little bit late.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
And we decided to pull in because Ingrid was familiar with Pastor Bob.
Not only that, we had gone to the Christmas tree. That was in November. Yeah.
And in First Assembly, we found a wonderful balance. Yeah. Spiritually, mentally, physically, in all aspects of worship. Yeah. The leaders, Pastor and Sister Bobs, are amazing God-filled people. And that's where we've been.
Yeah.
And even through COVID, when we went virtual, we found a new appreciation for the word going virtual. It takes away the distraction of church. It allows you to focus just on the word. Yeah. While the congregation is nice and everything, but when you feed in your spirit, you want to be focused, undistracted. And for us right now, we're still
virtual. Yeah.
Still virtual, and we enjoy it because we're able to absorb the word
so much more better.
And the conversations around the word.
Yes.
It's even more dynamic.
Which is over our dinner table now.
Yes, because we watch at the dinner table, sometimes two different devices. If Ingrid starts when she's upstairs and I'm already downstairs, or vice versa. But we're able to take in the word, assimilate the word, and discuss the word real time. Yeah. So that to us is a fact. So religion is a very big conversation because if you guys aren't at the same page, you find that times that you could be using to bond.
I know.
Religiously, of course. You're there trying to understand each other, right? So have that conversation up front. This is my religion. What are we gonna settle on?
That's a good question.
The house has to be united at some point.
Yes, that's a very good question.
We don't have the answer as to how to do that. But it's something that you have to discuss with your partner.
So which church are we going to go to? So I am I'm a 7-day getting married to a Sunday day. We're just using that hypothetically, right? And then, so who's going to go to Saturday church? We have children. Who's going to go to Saturday church? Who's going to go to Sunday church? Who's going to give up? Who's going to say, okay, we're married now, we're one. So we're going to go to one church. Who's going to make that decision? Because I read or heard of a story the other day that this guy grew up in a family Mother was Saturday church. Father was Sunday church. Both held positions in these churches, right? So this kid went to church 7 days per week. Now you think that was fair for that child? 7 days per week, you know, including night service, everything. That guy had to be at everything. No, I don't think that was really fair. If that family had come together and say, okay, so we love each other, and part of the loving is coming in agreement to say we're going to worship on a Saturday or we're going to worship on a Sunday so that our children can be part of one thing. So that's a major discussion. When I say major, it's major. The Bible talks about unequally yoked. Unequally yoked also goes for the same Christianity, but you worshiping on one day, me worshiping on another day, or I going to this church, you going to that church. Nobody wants to give up because we all think we're all right. And you know what? If we just get back to the fundamentals of religion and what it's based on, what the Lord says, the greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God and love your neighbor as yourself. That's it, isn't it? All boils down to love. In case we all didn't know, it boils down to love. Yeah.
You know, my dad had a long time saying, he said, in this world, there'll be no wars, no fighting, if the religion on a whole decided to celebrate the things that they have in common instead of their differences. The commonality bonds are so strong. And no matter what the religion, if you look at what the commonalities are, the core beliefs are the same. So guess what? You can bridge that gap.
We can.
Absolutely. So the second part now is your spiritual journey. This can also cause some tension in a relationship. Whether you are a leader of in your church and your spouse, significant other isn't, you have to realize that everyone's journey is very different.
Very different.
I aspire to be where Ingrid is. Her routine is impeccable and consistent. That's another word, consistent. My journey is slow and steady.
Slow and steady, yeah.
But that's for me. I can tell you this, where I was 5 years ago to where I'm at now is worlds of difference. But it takes patience, it takes understanding, and it takes dedication. Work on your spiritual journeys, one chapter at a time, sometimes one verse at a time.
I know, right?
You know, since we've been married, we have read the 2-year Bible now. This is our
4th year.
This is our 4th year, so twice. So we have a 2-year Bible where you read the Bible cover to cover.
But in small chunks.
In small chunks. So every morning we read a couple chapters of Psalm, couple chapters of Genesis. Verses. Couple verses of about 3 or 4 books. Actually 4 books. Normally
Old Testament, New Testament, Psalms, and Proverbs.
Proverbs, right. And you'll be amazed how much, one, you learn. The same chapter and verse that you have read 14 times. This morning, something jumps out and bites you. But it's important, the consistency in spending time. Now, Ingrid and I have, again, just like friends, her devotion time, my devotion time, and our devotion. That's the key, folks. Because Ingrid is here with her devotion time, I'm here, but we meet and we have one consistent worship. And to build your relationship, you and your significant other, top dogs and queen bees, need to be at the same point. When you're together. Because Ingrid can quote a scripture like nobody's business. I am not there yet. I'm not there yet. But I am not intimidated because guess what? I am comfortable where I am with my religious journey, and I'm sticking to it. In your lane.
Not trying to be me.
All right, or you're not trying to be me. No. There's a little bike accident that we'll touch on.
That's a different story that I've learned to stay in my own lane, right? But yes, seriously though, I mean, we might have come from similar backgrounds where our parents were, well, my mom and his parents, we were raised in that way, but I live the word, I swallow the word, I everything about the word. So I'm able, like Greg says, to do these things. And you know, he just genuinely says to me, honey, one day I aspire to be where you are. And I find him now quoting. Yeah. So he's listening. Yes, he is. And in the mornings, some really vibrant discussions. And I tell you, this is a man of wisdom. Not because he's my TD, but he has some serious wisdom up here. He's looking at the scriptures in a different way. You know, it's not just taking it. He's actually taking it and looking at it and not be afraid to discuss and share his opinion. So,
I'll share one little nugget for today. So we're both certified John Maxwell coaches, trainers,
and speakers.
Yes. One thing that the program taught us is that you don't listen to respond, you listen to communicate. Let me say that again. You don't listen to respond, you listen to communicate. So when you and your queen bee are having that conversation, don't just listen enough to hear when she finishes to get your point across. Listen to understand what her point is so you can communicate at her level or at his level. Because if you don't listen, you know, there's a study that says the reason why people forget the person's name that they were just introduced to is because they're too busy thinking about what they're going to say and make sure that they don't say their name wrong. Can you believe that? But it's true. So in a relationship with your queen bee or your top dog, really listen. Not to only what is being said, how it's being said. Because if Ingrid is asking me about the dishes and it's, hey honey, we have some dishes in the back there.
And we do have some right now to go to after this.
And if she's doing something or she just came back and got the nails done, I don't have a problem getting, you know, my hands wet. But when she said, honey, there's some dishes.
With the attitude.
The head shake, the whole line out. Then you know, and I realized that I may have had my nose in that article a little bit too longer, and I had promised to go clean this thing. It happens. But listen. You have to listen to communicate.
And I've learned, because I'm now challenging myself not to complain. So I'm wearing this now. So every time I find myself complaining, I do this or I do this. So right now it's on the left hand and it's guarding my tongue. Yes, guarding my tongue.
All right.
So the last thing, which we don't have in common, children, but we know about, we're experienced at having the children and giving them back. Yes.
Well, the other thing is, you know, I, as a godfather of multiple goddaughters, all girls, I've learned one thing. It's about paying attention to kids. Because kids are like sponges. They're like that secret recorder in a spy movie. Whatever you say is recorded. Whatever you do is recorded. How you say it, when you say it, it's all recorded. So be careful about your actions, both verbally, physically, every possible way, because they're sponges. Now, when it comes to kids in a relationship, that should be a conversation. Is it one? Is it two? Is it a tribe? Is it a basketball team? Have the conversation up front.
And then who babysits and who gets up and who changes the baby and all of that. All that needs to be discussed.
Don't assume just because you know the queen bee just had the child that it's her responsibility. No, you have to share in that. You have to give her her moment to recover, rest a little, and take turns.
And take turns. Like when my little niece Isabel. No, that's a queen all by herself, was here, you know, and she came and she summed us up, right? And she thought, okay, I can handle these two. Little did she know that we two, although she didn't see anyone running around, we knew how to handle that little one. And I tell you, she came one way, she left another way.
I have a picture of her sitting on my shoulder, you know, with her hand on my head. We were in a store and that's a far cry from coming in the door and looking up at me and don't want to talk to me, didn't want to listen. But I will say this, like any other relationship, with kids, you have to nurture the relationship. You really get out what you put in. The kindness, the time to spend, okay, let me tie that shoe for you.
Or maybe teach them. So give them the opportunity to learn.
In helping, you're teaching. You don't just tie it and say, let's go. You take this one, you put it over, the rabbit goes through the hole, pull it tight.
And then when they ask you why it's pulling through, like Ingrid used to ask every question in the book, why? Please don't tell them to shut up.
Because.
Just answer them.
Feed their curiosity.
You
have to. Again, it comes down to communication.
See, it's everything in life, it's about communication. So, if you haven't yet liked or subscribed to the channel, we encourage you to do so. Just listen. Take the time to listen and apply what you have learned and leave some feedback. If it speaks to you, leave some feedback. And remember, in everything in life, we have to always seek the one who is above. Seek wisdom. He says, wisdom is better than gold and understanding than silver. That is in Proverbs now. So remember, always seek him. And in everything you do, put him first. Because once you do, not that everything will be smooth, because we tend to do this. But once we learn how to curve this complaining thing, we'll find that life becomes better. Because even in the word, it tells us that the Lord will help us to do all things without murmuring and complaining. So, that's in Philippians. So remember, if you haven't, like, subscribe, and share. And until next time, when our top dog, Fortune, and his queen bee might be 100% recovered, this is Greg and Ingrid saying, take good care, and let's get live!